What's up guys, my name is Jack, you're watching JBTCG, and as the title suggests, yes, I did make an equation to predict which of the Scarlet and Violet booster boxes is the best investment at this point in time. And we have a lot to cover today, so I won't go into much more of an intro, we'll hop straight into the data. So the way I made this equation was, first I took the booster box price currently on TCG Player for all of these booster boxes. Then I took the price of the top 10 raw cards. So for something like Scarlet and Violet base, that'd be like the Gardevoir, the Drowsy, the Ralts, and then I took their values as a PSA 10, and then I added them all up. So then I have this sum value, and then I have the booster box value. Then I added an age multiplier, which starts at 1 and goes all the way up to 1.4, increasing by 0.1 with every 6 months old a set is. So something like Destined Rivals is just an age multiplier of 1 because it's less than 6 months old. Something like Surging Sparks is over 6 months, but it's under a year, so it gets 1.1. Twilight Masquerade is 1.2. Paradox Rift is 1.3. And then Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, and Scarlet and Violet base are all 1.4. The reason I added this age multiplier is twofold. So for one, these boxes are much less likely to get reprints, so we're less likely to see more stock decreasing the value of the booster box and the singles over time. So something like Scarlet and Violet base, that's going out of rotation next year. They have much bigger fish to fry. The Pokemon Company has other sets that they very much need a reprint, something like Surging Sparks, Twilight Masquerade, which have much more expensive booster boxes and are much more modern. And then as the next reason, as a set ages, the price of the booster box and the sealed products increases more than the single cards. And we've seen this across every set over time. If you've tracked the value of even some of the biggest top chase cards, the value of this sealed box has beat them out in terms of percentage gains over time. Like Evolving Skies, the Umbreon VMAX is right around $1,400 right now, and the booster box is right around $2,400. And upon release, the Umbreon VMAX was actually more expensive than the booster box, so the booster box has beaten it out in terms of percentage gains. So then with our 3 data points, we can make our equation. And the equation is the sum of the values of the cards inside divided by the booster box price multiplied by the age multiplier. This is a fairly simple equation, and what it mainly hinges on is that the value of a booster box is determined by the cards in the set. Sets with more expensive chase cards like Team Up have more expensive booster boxes. And what this gives us is a set of values ranging from 5.8 to 17.9. And because of how this equation is structured, the higher value means it's a better investment opportunity. And with that being said, let's get into our list. So we have 10 total Scarlet and Violet era sets, starting with Scarlet and Violet base and ending with Destined Rivals. And our 10th and worst set, I want y'all to guess before I tell y'all what it is. So write it down in the comments or just make a mental note. But the answer is Stellar Crown. So Stellar Crown's investment rating or whatever is a 5.8. The booster box right now is $222. The sum of the top 10 raw cards plus their same values in PSA 10 is only $1,177, which as we'll see later is very, very small. The age multiplier for Stellar Crown is 1.1 since it's over 6 months old, but that does not help it very much because it is still the worst set on this list by far. The top chase card is only $54. This is the Squirtle illustration rare. And the second best card, I believe, is the Bulbasaur at $47, and then the Terapagos at $39. So there is not much value in this set. There's very little chase, and even if you pull the top card in the set and grade it in a PSA 10, you still would lose money on the box. It wouldn't be guaranteed profit, and that is absolutely brutal. And this is part of the reason why you don't see Stellar Crown on any of my top 5 investment of the month lists. I rarely talk about it. It just does not have much value. There isn't much chase. And the ETB as well, it has Terapagos on the front. It's not a very well-loved Pokemon. The promo is cool with Noctowl, but again, there isn't much value there, so it takes our last slot. Now making a big jump up to number 9, this is going to be Temporal Forces. The investment rating for this is 9.8, so a significant jump up from 5.8 from Stellar Crown. The cost of a Temporal Forces booster box is $212, which is actually cheaper than Stellar Crown, surprisingly. But the sum of the raw and graded cards is $1,739. So higher than Stellar Crown, but a cheaper booster box, and then an age multiplier of 1.2. So this set has always been kind of interesting. It's always been on the back burner. It's never been a set that's been a fan favorite, although I do think it has some really cool cards. personally, the Iron Crown and the Iron Leaves are my favorites, and they are both super affordable. And you can get a lot of the cards from this set in a PSA 10 for a fairly affordable price as well. The top hit is the Raging Bolt still. That's a $70 card. And in a PSA 10, it's only $212. So although this set is number 9 on the list, I do think there is potential for this set to perform well in the future. I think honestly, some of these cards are just undervalued at the current moment, but this list isn't based off my opinions on what is undervalued and what is overvalued. It's based off of the prices that are currently here in the market. And right now it says Temporal Forces is number 9. Now moving into our number 8 spot, just barely beating out Temporal Forces, this is Obsidian Flames with an investment rating of 9.9. So only 0.1 higher than Temporal Forces. The Obsidian Flames booster box is $230. The sum of the top 10 raw and graded cards is $1,634. So slightly cheaper than Temporal Forces. Where this makes up some ground is with the age multiplier, because we are very unlikely to see more Obsidian Flames reprints in the future. I can't imagine that we get an Obsidian Flames booster box reprint at all at this point, just because it's not that expensive, it's not that hyped up, and it's basically going out of rotation. So the top card in this set is the Charizard EX, which is overshadowed by the Paldean Fates Charizard EX, but it's $60 with a PSA 10 of $380. After that, it drops off a ton, and our next highest card, I think, is a $20 gold version of the Charizard EX. And then after that is the Ninetales Illustration Rare, which I think is one of the greatest cards from the Scarlet and Violet era, and just the greatest illustration rares that we've seen. It is such a beautiful card, but that is our number 8 spot, and we'll move on to number 7. Our investment rating jumps up a little bit for our 7th slot, and it's Twilight Masquerade coming in with an investment rating of 10.8. So right now, a Twilight Masquerade booster box is going to cost around $262. The value of the top 10 raw cards in this set is $600, and those same cards in PSA 10 totaled up is around $1,750, and that gives us a total of $2,350. And honestly, I think this set belongs in the number 7 slot. It's a good set, it's a well-rounded set, you have some great illustration rares, you have a good top chase card, but if I had $260, there's a lot of other sets in the Scarlet and Violet era that I'd rather put my money in. And one of those sets is our number 6 spot, and that is Journey Together. Its investment rating is 11.1, so a jump up of 0.3 from Twilight Masquerade, which is a very small jump. And this set is a little interesting because we have an enhanced booster box, so I made the equation slightly different for this one. So instead of just including the top 10 raw and graded copies, I also included the value of the stamp promo that comes in every box, because that is value that comes guaranteed in the box. So it's a $23 raw Reshiram stamp promo, and then in PSA 10, that's $175. Right now, the value of an enhanced Journey Together booster box is $215, and the value of the top 10 raw and graded copies, as well as that stamp promo, is $2,384. Then on top of that, its investment multiplier is just 1 because it's less than 6 months old. This set, I honestly think, is pretty solid. It's a small set, which kind of hurts it inherently. And if you don't know, there are certain sets in the Pokemon TCG that are basically half the size of other mainline sets. So normally in Japan, we get 2 Japanese sets that make up one big mainline English set. But with something like Journey Together, we only got battle partners. So Journey Together is just a 1-to-1 of battle partners with like 1 or 2 other extra cards thrown in. And you may say, well, how does it being smaller hurt its investability? Well, the reason is they don't change the odds of pulling cards in smaller sets. So the odds of pulling an illustration rare in Journey Together are around 1 in 13. The odds of pulling an illustration rare in Destined Rivals are also around 1 in 13. But with half as many illustration rares in Journey Together, that means your odds of pulling a specific one are much higher. One of the reasons that the Magikarp illustration rare from Paldea Evolved is so expensive is because there's so many illustration rares in the set, and that makes it extremely rare to get a specific one. If you're hunting for a specific one in Journey Together, it's going to be a lot easier than hunting for a specific special illustration rare in something like Surging Sparks, Destined Rivals, or Twilight Masquerade. And obviously with them being more abundant and easier to pull, that drives prices down, and we know that the value of the booster box is determined by the cards in the set, so it drives the value of the booster box down as well. Now enough of my ranting and rambling on that, we'll move into my number 5 set, and this is going to be Paradox Rift with an investment value of 11.2. So only 0.1 higher than Journey Together right now. This is a booster box that costs $211. The sum of the top 10 raw cards is $305. Those same cards in PSA 10 is $1,518. And that gives us a sum of $1,823. And then because it's an older set, its age multiplier is 1.3. Overall, I think Paradox Rift is a decent set. It's not one of the most well-loved sets in the world, and it doesn't have huge top chase cards, which I think is what's limiting it from being at the top. Now moving on to number 4, and this is where we see a huge jump in value. This is going to be Surging Sparks with an investment value of 14.2. So we jump up 3 from Paradox Rift, and these top 4 I think are great sets. I think they're very investable, and I'm very pleased with how this list turned out because Surging Sparks I think is a great investment opportunity. Right now the booster box is $241. The sum of the top 10 raw cards is $721. Those same cards in a PSA 10 would net you $2,389, which gives us a total of $3,110. The age multiplier for this is only 1.1 because it's a 6-month-old set. Now the top chase card in this set is the Pikachu, which I'm not personally a big fan of, but a lot of people are. It's $258 with a PSA 10 of $862. The second top chase card is a Latias EX, which is around $145 with a PSA 10 of over $400. So there's some big hitters in this set. There's the Melodic as well. This is a set that I think will stand the test of time. Just this week, we're actually getting an ETB and booster bundle reprint through Costco. So there's going to be tons of units of those on the market, which I think it will be a great time to buy. I'm personally going to be looking for some, both if I can get them at Costco, which is unlikely, but also on the secondary market. Hopefully some of these people that are just looking to flip, they'll underprice it under the market and I'll be able to scoop some up. Now jumping up again, our third place set has an investment rating of 16.1, which is surprisingly high for Scarlet and Violet base. Right now a booster box only costs $205, and the sum of the top 10 raw cards in the set is $222, and those same cards in a PSA 10 is $2,142, giving us a total of $2,364. The age multiplier for this, because it's the oldest Scarlet and Violet set, is 1.4. And I was surprised to see the value of these graded cards in this set. Now, the raw cards for this set are very, very cheap. The top chase is $39 in the Gardevoir, but when you look at these same cards in a PSA 10, every single one of the top 10 is over $100. And this is the first set we've covered to have all of the top 10 cards in a PSA 10 be valued over $100. For Surging Sparks, the bottom 2 are $85 and $83. For this set, the bottom card is $100. But these are some huge values, and I think they'll keep people chasing as time goes on. Honestly, I was surprised to see it this high, and I might have to reconsider my thoughts on Scarlet and Violet base, and I might invest in some boxes. Now moving on to second place, this is going to be Paldea Evolved. This has an investment rating of 16.2, so only 0.1 higher than Scarlet and Violet base, and this is that high even with a booster box that is valued at $350 right now. And so the sum of the top 10 raw cards is $489. Those same cards in PSA 10 is $3,562, which is crazy expensive, mostly carried by that Magikarp. And then the age multiplier for this set as well is 1.4 because it is over 2 years old. And this was also shocking to me. I did not expect Paldea Evolved to be this high, but when I look back on it and I look at the actual numbers, it's not that surprising. The Magikarp in PSA 10 is $1,800, and the other illustration rares like the Tyranitar and the Sleepy Raichu, their PSA 10 values are incredibly expensive as well. It truly is a really well-rounded set with a lot of great chase cards. On top of this, with its age, it's very unlikely that we see a meaningful booster box reprint. We might see some ETBs, honestly I wouldn't be too surprised, but I think at this point, any reprint of Paldea Evolved is very unlikely compared to some of the more modern sets, looking at Journey Together, obviously Prismatic Evolutions, and then Destined Rivals. And I know I just said the name of the set, but the top booster box on this list to invest in is Destined Rivals with an investment rating of 17.9. Now before I get into this, there is an asterisk around this set because it is so new. The values of the top 10 chase cards in PSA 10 are very expensive, and many of them are likely this high because the set is new and there aren't that many PSA 10 copies in the world. Generally, over the coming months after a set is released, we see more and more PSA 10 copies get graded, and we also see the hype in the Pokemon hobby move on to the newest sets, so the value of these PSA 10 cards decreases. So this ranking at number 1 is subject to change, and I would be a little hesitant investing in Destined Rivals at these prices, but we gotta go over them for the sake of the video. Right now, the booster box is $327, which is insane. That is the craziest stat I've ever seen for a set that just got released 2 months ago. The value of the top 10 raw cards in the set is $1,302, also insane. We saw an initial drop in price for a lot of the single cards in the set, and then they've just bounced back up, which is kind of wild to see. The value of those same cards in PSA 10 is $4,555. That is likely a little bit inflated because they are newer and there isn't that many graded copies out there. But the crazy thing with this is that there's 0 age multiplier. Like something like Scarlet and Violet base, the value of our investment rating is getting multiplied by 1.4. For Destined Rivals, it's just getting multiplied by 1. So there truly is a lot of value in this set. And we'll go over some of the top chase cards. The Mewtwo is $396 raw. In a PSA 10, it's around $1,000. The second top chase card is the Garchomp at $215. In a PSA 10, this is $660. And even then, the third place card is the Moltres at $154. And the PSA 10 for that is $550. There is tremendous value in Destined Rivals, and the data backs it up. This set is outstanding. Now, for me personally, at $327 for a new set, I'm very hesitant to invest in it at that price. I think it's a little bit too expensive. But what this tells me is that if this set gets reprinted and we see much more booster boxes, much more ETBs on the market, they will be a great investment long term because there's so many great cards in this set and there's so much depth in this set as well. And with that, that concludes our list. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And also, I'm going to do a sequel with this for Pokemon Center ETBs and one for Sword and Shield era booster boxes. If that is something you want to see, let me know down in the comments, and also subscribe, that way you're notified when I release the videos. But that's all I got for today, so as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay safe out there.